So earlier this week I carded my first ever score below 90, so in today's episode I'm going to share with you the key reflections on that round, so hopefully in the coming weeks you can also record your personal best. Roll the intro. What's going on today team? Sage here, aka the Golf Hacker, and welcome to the Golf Hacker channel where I'm documenting my journey to Scratch to pave the way for other amateur golfers. So on Monday I shot my personal best of 88, 2 shots better than my previous personal best at Cruise Hill of 90. The score was made up of 14 bogeys, 2 pars and 2 double bogeys. Par at Cruise Hill is 70, so that took me to a total score of 18 over 88. So here are my 3 key learnings from the round. The first is don't follow a bad shot with a bad choice. One of the big success factors for this round for me was that I didn't card any blowout holes. There were no triple bogeys present on the scorecard whatsoever. There were times when I landed amongst the trees or when I had a long, risky shot to try have a stab at the green. But rather than go for the hero shot, I decided to play it safe and avoid getting myself into even more trouble. Sometimes you'll take your swing and you won't get the result you hoped for, but that's a big part of golf. Not every shot goes to plan. But when you make the choice to go for a risky option and it doesn't come off, often you're sacrificing 2 or 3 shots in an attempt to claw back maybe just 1 shot to the scorecard. Particularly when you're an amateur, percentage play is not to go for these shots. And I can think of multiple occasions throughout this round where I've definitely saved myself shots by foregoing the par and just playing to a bogey instead and taking the safe option. The second key learning is to regularly switch off during the round and to stay in the present moment. Now this might sound a little airy-fairy to a few people, but I can't stress enough how big mental skills played a factor in this personal best score. It's not like I played out of my skin better than I had on previous rounds, but I just managed to stay consistent throughout the round. And ultimately this came down to staying grounded throughout the whole round and not losing my head. Obviously it was great that I never had to bounce back from a triple bogey, which we all know is hard to do. But there were times across the course of the round where I started getting drawn into what-if thinking about trouble that I needed to avoid on the next tee, calculating hypothetical scores as I navigated through a hole. And then inevitably towards the back end of the round, despite deliberately not looking at my score, I knew in the back of my mind from the way that I've been playing and the way I had been scoring that I was approaching what could be a personal best score for me. But all of these types of thinking are not conducive to you producing the shot that you want to execute next time you go to swing the club. One of the simplest tips I've picked up from Gary is to make sure you stay in the present moment as much as possible throughout your round. This means your mind-body connection is as strong as possible, and that's going to give you the best possible chance of executing the shot that you visualize each time you swing the club. So to help me with this, each time my partner was playing a shot or between my own shots, I tried to switch off from the golf itself. This was as simple as taking in the scenery around me, the trees, the colors, maybe noticing the breeze. Ultimately focusing on these things away from the golf between shots allowed me to arrive at my next shot with a very clear head and focus on the shot that I needed to play next. Looking back on this round, this was one area where I was much better on this occasion than I have been in others, and I feel that it showed in my performance on the day. So if you're the type that gets caught up in thinking about hypothetical scores as you go around the course, or you start to calculate what your final score might be as you start to approach the end of your round, try to navigate away from that thinking, and then when you arrive at your next shot, focus on the shot that you need to play in that very moment. My third and final key learning is to have minimal swing thoughts every time you go and play a round. I've got a few key focuses right now around my grip, my posture, my width of stance, keeping my right arm soft at address. These are all things I'm trying to incorporate, but I'm trying to do that away from the course. Freeing myself of these thoughts when I'm standing over the ball on the course just helps to ensure that I'm free to focus on executing the shot that I've visualized and the shot that I want to play. If you've seen previous rounds that I've played, you'll notice that at times I had a tendency to lose my balance, and as Caroline kept telling me, this can have a big impact on the accuracy of your shot. So for this particular round, I decided that I would just focus on finishing each shot with a nice balanced post-swing position. Now, while I've tried on previous rounds not to flood my mind with all these technical thoughts, I'll be lying if I said that I didn't start to think about these things more on other occasions than I did on this particular occasion. So the key learning for me is that the less you can be thinking about these things as you go around the course, the better it will probably reflect in the way you play on the day. I think it's a quote from one of Bob Rotell's books: to train your swing at the range, but trust your swing on the course. This was another aspect which I'd always known, but looking back to my performance on the day, I feel like this was another area where I did much better than on previous occasions, and it reflected in the final score. So those are my 3 key learnings from the round, guys. Let me know in the comments down below if you've found success with any of these things, or what the key factors have been for you for the first time that you broke 100 or the first time that you broke 90. I'm keen to learn what other people are using to beat their personal bests. Now, since sharing this on the golf group in Reddit, I've since learned that this might not technically be considered breaking 90. Par for a course is generally 72, so breaking 90 is generally coined with an average across all 18 holes of bogey or better. On this occasion, I didn't quite meet that criteria. For me, however, the mental barrier of breaking 90 has always been about gross score. Apart from breaking 90 for the first time in my head, this particular round had me very excited for a couple of reasons. The first of those is that despite carding an 88, my putting on this round was terrible. There were 6 or 7 times where I left the ball literally sitting right on top of the hole. And on top of that, there were another 2 or 3 times when I was within 3 to 4 feet, a very straightforward putt, and I pushed it wide. Now, I know this is what golf is all about. You have times when things go your way, you have times when they don't. But while I've done some putting practice as of late, I know I've got so much more improvement to do. So I'm really excited to see what kind of a score I can card on a day when my putting does turn up to the course. The second reason I'm so excited is that I'm starting to build some genuine consistency and confidence with my ball striking. While I was lucky to find my ball on a few occasions, and on those occasions I had a gap to punch out through the trees, this was the first round in a while where I didn't have any penalty shots on the scorecard. And moreover, there was only one occasion when I duffed the ball, and outside of that, my shots were going pretty much straight. Now, those of you that have been watching my videos as of late will know that I'd had a bit of a problem with a hook creeping into my game, and for the most part on this round, this was absolutely non-existent, so that really buoyed me. So guys, with this new score under the belt, my handicap is now sitting at 18.4. So I'm really now within touching distance of my target handicap of 17 by mid-December. All it's going to take is just a couple more rounds in that late 80s to low 90s region, and I should get there. And as I said previously, the key focus for me now has to be on my short game, particularly with my putting. But that's it for this week's episode, guys. I hope you found those learnings useful for my first round under 90. And if you've tuned in and stayed with me this far, thank you so much. I truly appreciate it. We'll see you next time. Take it easy.
Like and subscribe, baby.